Welcome, all of you. I feel glad to see and not see you here at this question and answer call about essential spaceholder training, which I'm going to be offering as an 8-week series starting in 2 weeks, which is January, not the 11th, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. And I wanted to I wanted to give people a chance to bring their questions. I wanted to record the questions and the responses that come so that more people can also watch the recording and find out more about this training and if it's a fit for you. My name is Nicole Hartley Bradford, and I am a transformational experiment creator and catalyst with and for Team Gaia. And this is a job description that I distilled with the help of other possibility managers who are people who use distinctions, tools, maps, and processes from this game world called possibility management to create transformation for ourselves, for others, for Gaia. And the the essential spaceholder training that I'm going to be bringing is an evolution of spaceholder training that I've delivered over the past about 5 years of offering this kind of training. One of which I called the art and science of holding space. And some of the people who will be seeing this or who have been in touch about this training have asked me what the difference is. So this is where I want to start today. What is different about the space holding training I used to offer and this space holder training? And the difference is that now I've woven in many distinctions and maps and processes and tools from possibility management, specifically that come from the conscious feelings work that is part of possibility management. Conscious feelings work distinctions that include that there are 4 feelings, only 4. And the other things that are feelings are a combination of these 4 feelings: anger, sadness, fear, and joy. That there's a distinction between feelings, which are about the here and now, and emotions, which are about the past or about other sources of emotion that have kind of got into my system, and that emotions are for handling or for healing things, not for handling my life, which is what feelings are for. This means that emotions become doorways for emotional healing processes. And the more distinctions and the more practice a person has with discerning feelings from emotions, the more able a person is to inner navigate their from emotion to emotion inside while someone holds space, and the more able a space holder is to co-navigate someone who's inner navigating, to unpack, unmix, discover what's underneath in the next layers as an emotional healing process unfolds. And so this essential spaceholder training will be focused on both sides of the space holding kind of arrangement or agreement. One person holding space as the co-navigator while the feeler inner navigates and makes this discovery and makes emotional healing possible and transformation possible in the mental, emotional, energetic, and eventually I also found in the physical body. The other things that the basics or this essential space holder training will offer that build on the space holding skills and the ability to create my own healing as a navigator and a feeler is this world of the 333 initiation. So 333 initiation is to do 3 minutes 3 times a week for 3 months of the highest intensity anger that I can, and discover and like bring myself back to life by doing this. So essential spaceholder trainees will come out with a lot of experience doing 333 ourselves, and with experience holding space for others to start to do 333 and to continue doing 333 in Zoom-inable spaces and also in-person spaces. The other thing that a person who takes this training will come out with is experience and practice and, everything, all the groundwork laid to hold space for emotional healing process. So EHP dojos. EHP dojos are online or in-person spaces where people gather to do emotional healing processes and go into breakout rooms or parts of the room, if it's an in-person space, and do the processes, and then come together again to share the gold that happened from because of the process for both the feeler and the space holder, because this is a constant learning game world. So I hope that that gives you the basics of what this essential spaceholder training is, and a little bit about me. And what I'll add about myself is that, how I became like on fire about delivering this training is that in my years as a mother of 4 children, in my years as a partner to their fathers and to other partners that I had during my life, as a friend, as a collaborator for projects that were really on the edge of modern culture. So, not so much within the modern culture world where like in jobs or, uh, and yet still in such places. What I discovered about my ability and capacity to hold space for others when they had feelings or emotions happening, I I discovered that I was insufficient in my capacity and ability and skill, and I wanted more proficiency. I also discovered that even though I believed myself to be someone who was in touch with my feelings and emotions, I had to own, and then I had to do something about, again, my improficiency with how to handle myself when emotions and feelings were running for me. So the pain that I experienced, both as a space holder and as a feeler, really fueled me to go looking for people who had more distinctions, more tools, more thought maps, and more processes already figured out than I did, to learn from them and to start learning with them in order to continue to learn and grow and evolve as a human being, and as a human being who holds space for regeneration, transformation, evolution. So that's the start. And what I want to offer now is to is to take you who are here through, and you who are watching through, the process of going into first position as a space holder, as a possibilitator. And and this is also something that will be done over and over in this training, and also that people will get a chance to practice doing over and over again, both to empower other people to get into first position, also to empower ourselves each to be ever more in first position, ever more centered, ever more grounded, ever more in ever more experiential, energetically real bubble of personal space, and to create workspaces that are really grounded also. So I invite you to each close your eyes if you want to, or just lower your gaze to the floor to, unfocus, and turn your attention inward, first to your physical body, and to notice the sensations of heat, cold, pressure, any physical tingling, any physical tightness. And then I invite you to focus your attention on the part of your physical body that's between your hips, between the front and back of your lower abdomen. And just notice that space. And now put your attention on your attention. Where is your attention? Where are the traces of energy that show you where your attention has been in the last little while and more? And then use your intention to bring your attention even more fully onto your physical center. This might mean that you draw energetic parts of yourself from the past, from your head, from other people, from the future, and draw that into your physical center to create the experience, the energetical distinction of being centered. From here, I invite you to use a snap of your finger. This snap is called a clicker. And to use your clicker to declare that you have a grounding cord that connects your physical and energetic center to the physical and energetic center of Gaia, the earth. Go ahead. And using your energetic senses, feel and notice the color and the qualities of your grounding cord. And most people discover that it's a two-way communication cord, very similar to an umbilical cord, and that it has a color that changes from time to time. And I invite you to tell what color your cord is out loud in the space or in the chat. Mine is sky blue. Gold. Thank you.
Brown red.
Brown red. Thank you, Tias. Next, I invite you to first sense where your personal bubble is, this boundary between you and your space and everything else. Just sense how it is right now. And then use your clicker again to declare that you have a personal bubble of space that surrounds you in all directions. Inside that bubble is your physical body, probably most of your energetic body, your emotional body with your feelings and emotions, your mental body, or most of it, with your thoughts, beliefs, opinions, all of your mental constructs, and your essence, the essence of your being, are inside this bubble. And everyone else is outside of it. And again, you can check out your bubble using your energetic senses, noticing how close it is or how far away. You can play with that with your intention and adjust it so it's where you want it to be. You can notice the texture of your bubble. It's its elasticity or lack thereof. Especially notice if it has any permeations, any holes in it. And if it does, I invite you to disappear that bubble with your clicker and reappear an intact bubble again with your clicker. And if you want to, you can also use your clicker to declare with me that there is a golden cube of workspace around each of us. And through the Zoom window or through the energetic awesomeness of reality, there is a workspace that connects all of us, even the people watching or listening afterward. And with another burst of intention and your clicker, to declare that this golden cube workspace is grounded also to Gaia, to the core of Gaia, with a nice, big, thick, black grounding cord. And into this workspace, into the space of this Q&A call, I declare the bright principles of love, possibility, integrity, creation, healing, collaboration. And if you also want to declare any principles into this space, please do. I want to add winning happening and high level fun. Thank you. And I see in the chat a first question. Thank you, Monica, for this question. It says, can you speak a bit more about this polarity of wanting to hold space for others, yet feeling insufficient? And how did I navigate this? Yeah, wow, thank you. That's huge. My story about myself is that the conditions of my childhood led to me becoming kind of unconsciously competent as a space holder in some ways. For example, I was really patient. I became really patient. I became a really good listener. And I became someone who was somehow energized by listening and being there for people and holding space and sometimes bringing advice, possibilities, opinions to the other people in case they were empowered by what I brought. And yet, because I wasn't, this wasn't a conscious competence, there was also incompetence because because I didn't really know how I had become unconsciously competent so that I could build more conscious competence. I also have a story that I didn't have a lot of consciously competent space holders in my world as a child. So I didn't have mentors to learn from about how to kind of fill in the gaps where my competence was lacking. And in fact, the people that I turned to when I wanted someone to hold space for me, even though I didn't call it that, but when I wanted someone to listen or mentor me or bring me possibilities or help me figure out how things could go that I didn't have figured out yet, I didn't learn from others so much. And then, but I somehow had enough competence relative to other people I knew, that I kept going with the level of competence I had. And I became interested in what it was I did that worked and what it was that other people did and didn't do that didn't work. And then I started to kind of blend those two. What was I doing that didn't work for other people? And this took a while because, to be honest, getting the feedback from people about what wasn't working, about how I held space, how that often went for me was that I kind of blamed them. I was like, well, it's your fault. It's your fault that I can't hold better space for you because you you react. You don't, like, you're in your head and you don't feel. And so I had a lot of this, again, kind of unconscious, semi-conscious blame and shame and accusation going on, saying it's not me. Eventually I had to face that there was incompetence over here. And this was really hard. And it took a long time, actually. It took a lot of kind of intense and very painful feedback for me to be able to own that there's some serious stuff missing, some essentials missing. And for example, it cost me my marriage. I thought it was all him. I mean, I knew that it took two to tango, but I couldn't see clearly what it was that I was doing that wasn't working for the relational space. My eldest son became a drug addict, and he became homeless. And I feel glad to report that today, here now, he's in recovery and he's safe. And it cost him his eyesight because of a suicide attempt. My relational space with my son is entirely different now that I have the distinctions, maps, tools, and skills of essential space holder that I will offer in this training. So how I navigated it was step by step, trial and error, making a lot of mistakes. And this is partly why I'm so passionate and so committed to taking a stand for this training to exist, and for conscious feelings work and space holding work to be more available in the world. Yeah, thank you. Anya.
I'm looking back on different experiences having held space. And my experience so far is that I felt more free to find out about myself. I experienced more space to dare to really show myself if there were less tools used, if it was just a space in the here and now, and not the idea that it's a method, space holding. If I was taken as one individual out of 8 billion people, and I need my special space, knowing that every other person on earth needs their special space, and no special tools will work for all. So when you talk about using tools in a toolbox, there is some alarm going on inside of me.
Yeah, cool. Can you say more about what you make of that alarm? Is it, I mean, I heard you say that, everyone's different and that this tool might not work for that person. Is it from that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's certainly helpful to have tools, but I believe what's the most helpful is to be able to hold space for myself, and then open up the space for the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is so much what happens with these distinctions and maps and tools and processes. There's so many tools, but to be able to hold space and to be able to notice, like, to be able to kind of go, oh, here's a tool I have in my toolkit that could be so empowering for this person, and to say something like, hey, I have this tool and I think it would help you. Do you want it? Do you want me to say more about it? And also, the tools are more often my toolkit for me. So it's not as if I've got my tools in front of me and I'm like using them on people. It's more I've got them around my waist, in this tool belt. And I might be pulling out a tool for myself. Even some of the clicker is a tool from this going into first position. I might be holding space and I might use my clicker to recenter myself, reground myself, get my bubble. If I notice that my bubble's starting to, or my center's starting to go to the other person, or I'm starting to put my my grounding cord in another point of origin other than Gaia. And there are, in possibility management, as you know, has been, I call it, translated into websites that comprise a game called Start Over XYZ. And there are 500 and there are more websites being created as time goes by that deliver the distinctions, tools, maps, and processes of possibility management. So it's this whole world of possibilities of learning tools, using them for myself and passing them on. And I find this so accurate, what you say, Anya, is that, some tools are totally irrelevant to some people. And probably often because either they're not at that part yet in their own life where they just don't need that tool yet. And sometimes because they have a tool that covers what this tool does. So they don't need another tool. They've got that covered. It's like if you already have a hammer, it doesn't make sense for someone to pass you a piece of wood to hammer nails. You've got a hammer. Thank you. Is there anything else about that?
I feel that energy of this child inside of me that says, don't even propose a tool to me. I want to find out myself what works for me.
Yeah.
If you hold space for me so I can find my own tools and don't get any proposals that may make my idea, my imagination already colored. I want to have that blank space to develop that out of myself.
Yeah. What comes to me hearing you say that is how often, and I would say most spaces that I hold where I'm the space holder and someone else is coming to inner navigate, most of those spaces, what happens in the last part of it is this invention time to invent an experiment for them to take what got started in the space into their lives, so that it's not just about being in the space, having a process and coming out and kind of but about integrating what happened in the space. And there have been a few times when somebody invented a tool that I didn't know existed. And when this happens, it's like, wow, cool. And this creative energy of it's so common. I remember it well from childhood, this creative possibility inventing, and that in the context of emotional healing processes, it's almost as if that somehow it comes back or gets reignited in a very mature way too, so that actually this empowerment to go out into the world as a creator and as a source of new inventions that are, you know, needed by people, by, you know, sometimes other than humans also gets opened up and catalyzed. Yeah. Thank you. If there are no more questions for now, what I wanted to to do is to mm, give a taste of this magical, like this, the emotional healing process space is one thing, and emotional healing processes can last for 10 minutes. They can last up to about an hour and a half. Um, if if they last longer, it's probably two processes, and it might make sense to close the space for the time being and do a part two later. But there's this 3 minute space that is part of the 333 initiation that I'm so turned on about. And so I want to invite us to invite you to either watch or to participate in not a 3 minute anger space, but even just a third of that. So a 1 minute anger space as 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 a as a thing to do whenever you want, you know, off the bat, but also as part one of 333 anger initiation, and also as a demonstration of how it can go while I hold space to deliver this as if it was an initiation, as if you had never heard of conscious anger work ever before. So how it goes is that once again a person is centered, grounded, bubbled, and in an energetic workspace, they're invited to use a towel in two ways. One is to twist it in order to bring to life that anger emotion from the physical body, or to use as a muffle to be able to make loud sounds, angry sounds, and maybe a bit of both. And to use part of the attention to observe what's happening, about 8 to 10% of the attention, in a kind of observation deck. Somewhere up here is, I find, where my observation deck is. And with the rest of me, go full out for 1 minute, building up to doing it for 3 minutes, and see what happens. And it's to aim for the highest intensity of anger that I can get going in my system. So who's in for doing 1 minute of high intensity anger? Thank you, Tias. All right, the rest of you, I feel glad that you watch. And I also invite you to use your observation deck, watching yourself, watching me and Tias, and find out what happens for you as an observer. I'm going to get a stopwatch, and I'll make sure it's set to a nice loud alarm. This is one of the tips that I offer anyone who is experimenting with holding space for 333, is to make sure that your alarm is nice and loud so that you hear it when it goes off. I also set the alarm with an extra 3 seconds so that when I hit it, I can then say 3, 2, 1, and I can be starting to go into my own anger practice. I'm going to remove my glasses here. And a 333 is usually done lying down on a bed or a couch. And I'm going to be, I mean, feel free to do what you want, Tias. I'm going to be doing my 1 minute just sitting. You can also use the towel to hit beds or couches or pillows. Also, pillows can be used for the muffling part and also the moving things around part. There are rules. They are don't hurt yourself and don't hurt anyone else and don't hurt this space. This isn't about breaking things. This isn't about creating something that needs to be cleaned up. Also, if you're in a space where people could hear the angry sounds and be freaked out, this would not be cool. So because it could cause harm, it could cause alarm, it could cause like a mess in your relational space with that person. So the setup would be to let them know it's going to be loud for a few minutes and that you're okay, or to put a sign on the door that says emotional healing training in action. I might sound awful, but I'm okay. Please don't interrupt. You can ask me all about it later. I'd love to tell you all about it. And there's some very cool legends about people who came to the door when someone was doing conscious anger work and ended up starting to do conscious anger work themselves. So this is what can happen, instead of this consequence of like, what the heck are you doing? I'm calling the police. All right. So, Tias, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. And stop. And now there'll be some time to notice some more. For you who did a minute of anger, it's highly recommended you keep your lips closed and not blow the energy out. Watch it circulate. Notice what's happening in your system. Notice any feelings or thoughts. And when you're ready, come back to the screen. And if anyone has any questions about what you just saw there or anything to share about either doing the 1 minute practice or watching it, please bring them forward. One of the consequences that I want to happen from the essential space holder. Wait, I'm just going to pause there. I see Monica's written, as an observer, this brings up sadness for me. Thank you. If you want to, Monica, I invite you to to say more about your sadness. It might be something like, I feel sad because. Yeah, one of the consequences I want to happen. Yeah, you feel sad because of how often you failed yourself by not using conscious anger. Yeah, thank you. It sounds like that sadness would be an amazing doorway to an emotional healing process. And also because of the pain that unconscious anger has caused. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, does anyone else feel sad about how you have not used your anger consciously in the past? Yeah, yeah, thank you, Tias. And this pain, my own pain about just this is a big part of why I want more 333 initiations to exist, more 333 space holders to exist, and more Zoom inable and in-person 333 spaces for people to go to continue this practice of doing 3 minutes of anger 3 times a week for 3 months. The Zoom in spaces, how it goes is someone who's already doing the practice anyway can offer one time once a week where they'll open up a Zoom room and hold space, walk people through it, and then afterwards share the gold with each other about how it went that time. For example, I noticed in my 1 minute here in this space, I noticed this. I just noticed the ecstasy of my physical body as I punched the pillows and used my voice and pushed my feet into the ground and like drew in the muscles of my core of my body around my center where my anger was kind of coming from. And I noticed this I noticed these words were like, I am here. Yes, let's go. Let's do this. Thank you, Helena. Goodbye for now. So these 333 Zoom inable spaces are part of what I hope the legacy of the Essential Spaceholder training will be, as well as more emotional healing process dojos. My dream, what I'm committed to is being part of 333 333 spaces being available at a time in different time zones and in different languages, so that anyone who's like, I want to do 333 will have somewhere to Zoom into at least once a week and then do the 2 other times per week on their own, or to hold space once a week, Zoom in once a week, and do the 3rd on our own. So this is what I imagine is possible, and this is what I want to exist. And then it might even be possible that this could happen with EHP dojo spaces, that there could be Zoom inable dojos morning, noon, and night in every time zone in a whole bunch of languages. This would be amazing. And then I imagine how this would give rise to there being more in-person 333 spaces and more in-person EHP dojos. In fact, I imagine the world becoming populated with as many EHP dojos as there are, I don't know, Starbucks or something. So you could be in any little town and there's the EHP dojo, and you can pull up, or you can find out when the next dojo is happening. And maybe there'd be, morning, mid-afternoon, lunchtime, or morning, mid-morning, lunchtime, mid-afternoon, evening, late evening. And you could just come and show up and be paired off with somebody or 2 other people and hold space for each other to do whatever emotional healing process is next on your list. This is the world I'm imagining. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Are there any other questions about Essentials Spaceholder training?
I have a question. Is that essential spaceholder training more or less combined to possibility management game world?
A lot of, like, really the majority of the distinctions and the tools and the maps and the processes that I'll be bringing probably into the space are also exist in possibility management, and many of them have been discovered or invented in by other possibility managers before me. I will also weave in some things that I don't see in possibility management, and they may be part of what other possibility managers also use, but I've never seen them on a website. I've never encountered them in another training space, or and this is, I think, in a way how possibility management also as a game world expands by people bringing other things and discovering other things, like I was saying in answer to Anya's question about tools that maybe haven't been invented yet. So this is a growing edge where I would say possibility management game world is at my back, but I'm actually, and there might be possibility managers side to side with me in this space. And where we're going is it it's not possibility management, and it's not possibility management. This particular training is the prerequisites for it are, there's no prerequisites that you have to have done any possibility management training. Really, the prerequisites are that you want to become more skilled as a space holder, and you want to heal more of your own emotional wounding or mental kind of distortions yourself. And maybe, I'm guessing, people who will come will already have some kind of either unconscious competence, or they'll have been working already on developing their competence on both sides of that.
Thank you.
We may have covered what there is to cover here, and if not, I welcome more questions by Telegram or through my website, by email, any way that you have of being in touch with me. I so want to hear people's questions. And the registration process is available in the posters and the other things I've put out in the world. And will you be guiding participants through learning how to feel as a part of this journey of learning how to hold space? Yes. Yeah. Some of it will be bringing the emotional, energetic body alive again by doing 333, and by also in the space letting the different emotions and feelings come up and using what happens in our weekly call space as material to learn from and with, and to be with each other as we experience being on each side of the space holder feeler kind of space. And a lot of it will be about learning to discern if what I'm feeling is a feeling about the here and now, or an emotion about the past, or that comes from an external source, and what to do, the different things that can be done to handle whatever it is that's coming up. Yeah, thank you for that question. Thank you for all your questions. Wow. Yeah, my impulse is to end this space, and with, again, just this invitation to reach out to me about anything about it. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about this kind of work, and for doing it.
Another question coming up. Can
Okay.
we include that?
Yes.
What you like? What you think is the proportion of doing in this weekly meeting practical work and maybe kind of informal talk, or reaching out to distinction maps and something that is more like the information?
Yeah, this is a question I even have, because I want there to be, I want it not just to be theory. I want it to be experimenting and practicing. And so so far how I'm laying it out is that there'll be a theory part for each of the weeks, and then there will be practice in the call, and then opportunities to practice also during the week, either with each other, different people in the training, or to offer to hold space for others and have them hold space for us, like even give them the directions for turning it around, so that we can have, really, someone in this training could probably use what they get in each of our team calls and spend all week working with it, or a few hours each week working with it. It will really be up to each person how much practice they add to the theory and practice that we'll do in the call. And I'm kind of going like this. I'm like, I hope it'll be this much theory and this much practice. And I'm also experimenting with possibilities about delivering the theory outside of the call, so that we can really use the call space as a practice space. And then I'm balancing that out with how much time do people have to go through theory on their own.
Yeah, I would appreciate that one, the last one you named. I experienced that in a very large educational training last year. The trainer gave very good information talks about something like 30 minutes up to an hour. And then we met all informed about that. And then we could really go into practicing or questioning or finding out where the next step is on an invisible map. That's an idea. Growing and growing. I think a lot of spaces are offering video sequences, and then we jump together to work it out, or work through, or start from there.
Yeah.
The really big advantage I used in this video spaces ahead of the meeting is I could replay parts. Like if I didn't get it, I can take another round, 3 minutes. What was it?
Yeah. And this is also why all of our calls will be recorded, and they will be available to the group. They won't be available outside the group. And part of that is if you want something available outside the group to your people, the invitation is to create that yourself, to hold space, to deliver a map or a process in a video maybe, or in a live call, so that really it's about, it's about these things that come, a lot of them from possibility management, coming through us over and over again until we really have it in us to bring anywhere, including our relational spaces where we're simply, and I'm not saying it's simple because it's usually complex, holding space, even just for a logistics conversation. You know, everything from a logistics conversation that lasts 3 minutes to a full-blown initiation that lasts an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Or to a series where you're now delivering essential space holder skills to your circles. All right.
So thank you for this precious time and space.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nicole.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Monica. Goodbye, Nicole.